Okay, so maybe you put your dash cam here on the windscreen, and the thing is the camera needs power. So here is the power cable and here is the cigarette lighter connector. Now this is annoying. You want to rather hardwire this. For example, do you want to have that there all the time? And then what are you going to do with a wire? And every time you want to close this, you can't. And if you want to light a cigarette, you've got to unplug this. So I'm going to show you how to hardwire this. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to install a dash cam, and this happens to be in a C-Class Mercedes. The model is a W203. Right, it doesn't really matter which dash cam you install. Right here I have a Transcend Drive Pro 100, which is a quite old dash cam, and next to it I have a Drive Pro 220. The one that I'm going to install happens to be this one, the 220, and I'll just show you what you need to get started here. Now, just using the Transcend model as an example. Alright, so obviously it'll be your dash cam, whichever model you're happy with. Most of them use some sort of SD card, so this happens to be a micro SD card, and then you'll need a cable to connect your dash cam to the battery supply of your car. And as you can see, this is in the form of the cigarette lighter option, meaning you plug this into where your cigarette lighter would be, and it comes with a very long cord. And the reason being is that you're supposed to thread it maybe under some carpets or whatever to get to your dash cam. So I'm going to demonstrate the full installation. So this is the wiring. Now you might find this is not even long enough, and you might have to cut it and extend it, and you might want to also not use the cigarette lighter and rather hardwire it into your supply of your car, and I'll also show you how I do that. And then obviously the mount onto your windscreen. Now we need a 12-volt power source. Now many people think you can use the one on the side here. There are some fuses here and it's quite easy to get to it. Okay, so here is fuse number 21, which is for the power windows. The car ignition is off, so ideally you would think this would be off. I mean, there's the power windows and nothing is happening. However, if I measure here, you can see I'm getting the 12.5 volts, so it's not going off. So I need to find a switched 12 volt supply, meaning it goes off when the car goes off. Otherwise, the dash cam power supply will drain the car's battery. Remember, we are going to hardwire this into the car's power supply so that we don't have to plug this in and out. I am going to use a cigarette lighter power supply. It is a bit more work, and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so you need to turn this into the second position in order to move the gear lever back. Right, there's the gear lever. I'm going to depress the brake in order to move this into the neutral position, and the reason I do that is I need some space here to move. Right, you gently release this. You might want to open the armrest. So I now gently pull this out just like that. You don't have to take it more than that. Right, I'm now going to remove this little inner here. Right, this can come out. There's a clip there and a clip there, so you just want to release it and then this whole thing comes out. So gently release the clip there. 1 and 2. There we go. 1. And you might find this is very tight, so don't just pull it out. Okay, there you can see the wiring harness for the cigarette lighter, the cigar lighter, and that's what I want to get to. Now you can see I've already done this at an earlier point. There's my positive and negative, so I'm going to just release this and work with these power cables. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to unhook this. There you can see the socket, and there's the plug, and what I did is I pulled backwards. You can see there it is. So from this I can now hardwire my dash cam power supply. I've already done some wiring for a charger, for a car charger. I'll just show you. Some time ago I actually wired a little car charger here, so that's what that wire is. Okay, just a note about choosing the wire. This wire here might look fine, but it's actually aluminium. It's copper cladded, which means it's got copper on the outside, but the wire itself is aluminium. If you look at the cross section, and if you can see, it's actually silver rather than copper colored. So just choose your wire carefully. This is not premium cable. This is actually camera cable, and it tends to be low quality. Now if you look at something like this is premium speaker cable. This is 2mm, and this can carry more than enough current for the dash cam. Now every dash cam is different. Now this one says it's got 1 amp maximum fuse. There is a fuse in here and there's 1 amp max. You might add additional devices. So my rule of thumb is always overspec the wire. Just having a look at the route. So I'm going to hardwire that into that plug. It's going to come here. It's going to be fed underneath here. It's going to be fed underneath here. It's going to come through here. It's going to come up the side of the windscreen. We're going to feed it inside there, and the dash cam is going to be over here. Now you can obviously use the cable that came with your dash cam, but in my case I'm going to be using my own cable, and then I'll just cut a fly lead just now. You'll understand what I mean shortly. Okay, so the next step is to just open here. This is a Torx screw. It happens to be a Torx 20. There are two screws, 1 and 2, and I'm just going to unscrew them. All right, so there you can see the one. All right, so you just pull this down. There you can see the original cable I ran some time ago. And all I need to do is feed it in there and run the new cable along here. Now, because I need to thread the wire here, I can actually just pull this. Seam off right now. To open this is very easy. You just take a screwdriver and you peel that open and then pull out like this. Remember, there is a plastic piece there, so if you just snap it out you might break that piece. You want to actually kind of lean it and pull. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to thread this through and catch it here on the side. This is a little bit tricky. You could either feed it through this way and catch it on the side, or you can feed from this way and catch it. Okay, if you're having trouble feeding the wire through, so just use a screwdriver. Now just be very careful here. What you want to do is you want to come in at an angle like this, and you'll see there's a space there. Now gently follow the space. You see I'm barely pushing on this thing and it comes out at the back here. So notice I did not wedge it. I literally just put it through the gap. I barely pushed on it. Okay, so there it's come out. And all I'm going to do is I'm tying this yellow tape to the edge of that screwdriver. Right, now I'm going to pull it out the other side. Again, just very gently. Alright, so here are my wires. I'm not going to solder this on yet. I'm going to first complete the rest of the installation and then I'll come and solder this on. Alright, so here's the wire. I'm just going to open this beading. When you try and open this, just be very careful because there is the safety strap. Now, as you can see, it pulls out. So if you look there, you can see these clips. Just shift it like this and this whole thing actually comes out like that. Now there you see the strap which is connected to your side curtain airbag. Now you don't want to interfere with that, and I suppose you could run the wire here, but my advice is run it totally out of the way. So I'm going to run it in the groove here at the back. Okay, so there I've run the wire around the back, and if you're wondering how I stuck it down, this is a high quality double-sided tape. This is a panel beater type. This is panel beater type tape which you use to stop rattles. Is very good for sticking things down. So there I put the tape down and I just put the wire on top of it. You can see even within seconds it's already fastening. It becomes almost like glue-like after about 2 hours. What happens is this won't come out and it stops any rattle. So this wire won't rattle if you're on a bumpy road. This wire can just be threaded around there, totally out of the way, nothing to do with the side curtain airbag. Alright, so there you see the wiring running up to the top and it comes round and it goes in there. Now my advice is to put this back in, remove these clips and then put them on the frame of the car first. Right, then those feet go into those little holes there. Right, once you get this in the right position, you then just tap this with your hand from the back. Right. Now you can put the beading back. Just tap it in. Okay, now the wire is going there, all the way to there, and it's headed here for the middle of the car, where I'll now do the soldering. Right, my advice is to open this and to use this as your junction for where you're going to hardwire the little power supply for your dash cam. 1, 2. Right, so you can see this whole thing comes out. Right, so I'm going to thread this wire through here. Right, so I've threaded the wire backwards because it's easier, and I'm just going to tie it onto the correct wire like that. So I've tied it onto the correct wire like that, and I just have to pull it. And there you can see it's pulled through. Alright, so here's the wire, and I can now cut this. I now effectively need to connect this to this. Remember, this is 12 volts from your cigarette lighter. This thing then converts the 12 volts to 5 volts and then outputs this for your dash cam. Okay, so this might seem a bit tricky. Now what has happened here is this is the original cable. Now there you go, there is the connector, there is the power supply which you plug into your cigarette port, and there is the USB which goes into your dash cam. Now what you would have to do is you have to almost break this, because we need to hardwire the positive and the negative to this power supply. So I've already done that. Now unfortunately my camera died, so all I did is I cut around here to get to the positive and the negative. So there you can see positive and negative of this transcend power supply, converting the car's 12 volts to 5 volts. So what I've done is I've just extended the wires there. See, there's the positive and there's the negative, and I've just connected a little fuse, an inline fuse. So all I'm doing now is I'm just taping these up. Okay, so there we go. I'll just show you my little inline fuse here. There you go. And you specify it according to the power requirements of this little power supply, which is 1 amp. Alright, so this must be wired from the cigarette lighter's positive and negative. That's that wire which we've just wired all around the car. And this will be the 12 volts, and this is a little power supply. It's going to convert it to 5 volts. Power's going to go on here. What I also did, unfortunately, while my camera battery was dead, is I just shortened this. See there? Now this was the original. As you can see, it's several. This one's like over 1 meter long. So all I did is I cut it, and join the positive to the positive, negative to negative. It is color coded, so it's not a problem. So I just shortened this wire. So now all I'm going to do is go and connect this there where I opened the courtesy light in the cabin. Alright, so I've fastened them over there. There you can see this is the positive and negative coming from the cigarette lighter. Now I'm just going to solder them. Right, now at this point you should now solder the wires to the cigarette lighter. If it's easier for you, you can actually just open these wires at any point, because they actually just wire straight in here, and this is the positive and negative. You just open the clips on the side there. There's one, and here's the other, and the back flips. See there, it's how it's hardwired. So I've actually already soldered this. As you can see, these are my white wires here, which I've soldered before because I wired a car charger to the cigarette lighter. So I'm going to remove these ones because I no longer use that charger, and I'm now going to swap it with these ones that I've specifically wired for the dash cam, which are specifically wired for the Bluetooth car kit. Right. I'm first just going to tin them a bit just to get them easier to fuse. There we go. There we go. Right, so the positive happens to be the black with the yellow stripe, and the negative is the brown. So the positive here is just the plain red, and I'm just going to seat it there like that. Right. So there we go. Now I can close this. There I've hardwired it into the cigarette lighter wire harness, and now I can actually go and switch on the car and test the power supply and see if it works. Right, I've switched on the car, and there you can see the power supply is on, and when I plug in the dash cam, you can see there it comes on. Okay, so the next part is to just wire this and hide this neatly. I just need to thread this through to the front. Now we don't want to have noise, so what you do is you just got to wrap this. Right, so I've wrapped that just to reduce the noise, and I've just put this here with some tape, and as you can see, I can now put the light back in. Right, so I can wire the dash cam like that. I'll just thread this in here. It's very tight here. You could put some of that sponge here to stop it from making a noise, and I can just put the dash cam on the window, make sure it's clean, and you just fasten it like that. Right, so now I just want to hide this wire. Right, there you see the dash cam. There's the wire going straight into the roof, and now it's just time to close up and switch it on. Alright, when you're closing up, just make sure you slide that in, otherwise it won't fit nicely. Right, and then you depress this with your hand, and I've already put that in. As you can see, just a little bit raised there. This hasn't been pressed in yet. There we go. Right, when you're closing it, just make sure you clip that onto that. And then here on the right hand side, there's an air vent. This is the air vent for the footwell. You've got to align it to the spout, which is a little bit higher up there. Now you might think it's fine and just screw it in, but this is actually not in properly. So what you've got to do is you've got to press in that direction, and this thing has to go all the way up, so it'll seat into that spout like that. Now, very important when you screw, make sure your wire isn't in the line of the screw. You don't want to screw into your wire. Alright, so you can just check there's no wire running here. It's further in there. I've hidden the wire further in there. And now just press backwards. There you go. Now because you clipped it here, you can see this thing is very tight. It cannot come down. So it's basically like new. Right, here's the dash cam, and you can see that it's not charged and it's completely dead. So it is not going to be able to drain your car battery. Now here I turn the key into the auxiliary position, which actually activates some of the electronics in the car. And then immediately you can see the dash cam is powered on. Just for reference, you can see that the cigarette lighter is still working. You must check your work after having done your installation. Now, most importantly, when you turn your car off, the dash cam must go off. And there you see the dash cam is going off. Keep in mind that once it's charged, you've driven for a bit, the dashcam does have its own internal battery, well, some of them do, so it will still be able to stay on for about 5 or so minutes. If there's some emergency recording, it will have some battery backup, but right now it hasn't been charged, and I'm just showing you that the dashcam cannot drain your battery, and that is how you hardwire a dashcam or whatever it is, another device, maybe a car charger, whatever you want to do, to your cigarette lighter. Thanks for watching. Cheers.